Once upon a time, there was a camper who ventured deep into the forest, seeking solitude and adventure. This camper, named Jack, was an experienced outdoorsman who had spent countless nights under the stars, navigating through various terrains. He had always found solace in the embrace of nature, away from the hustle and bustle of city life. The forest, with its towering trees and the symphony of chirping birds, was his sanctuary. However, on this particular trip, something felt different. The air was thick with an eerie silence, and the usual sounds of wildlife seemed to be absent. As Jack trekked deeper into the forest, the sun began its descent, casting long shadows that danced on the forest floor. He had planned to set up camp near a small clearing he had marked on his map, but as he walked, he realized he had taken a wrong turn. The familiar landmarks were nowhere to be seen, and the dense foliage seemed to close in around him, making it difficult to find his bearings. Panic began to set in as the light faded, and the forest transformed into a labyrinth of darkness. Determined to find his way, Jack decided to keep moving, hoping to stumble upon a recognizable path. He walked for what felt like hours, the forest growing darker and more menacing with each passing minute. The rustling of leaves and the occasional snap of a twig were the only sounds that accompanied him, amplifying his sense of isolation. Just as he was about to give up hope, he noticed something unusual on the ground. There, in the soft earth, was a massive footprint, much larger than any human's. The sheer size of it sent a shiver down his spine. Jack had heard stories of Bigfoot, the legendary creature said to inhabit remote forests, but he had always dismissed them as mere folklore. Yet, here was undeniable evidence that something extraordinary was out there. The footprint was deep and well-defined, indicating that whatever had made it was incredibly heavy. Curiosity and fear battled within him as he examined the footprint more closely. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, with distinct toes and a wide arch. The realization that he might not be alone in the forest was both thrilling and terrifying. Jack's mind raced with possibilities. Could it really be Bigfoot? Or was there some other explanation for the massive print? As he pondered these questions, he heard a distant guttural growl. The sound was low and resonant, echoing through the trees. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as he scanned the darkness, trying to pinpoint the source of the noise. The growl came again, closer this time, and Jack knew he had to move. He quickly gathered his belongings and started walking, his senses on high alert. The forest seemed to come alive with every step he took. Shadows shifted and the underbrush rustled as if something was following him. Jack's imagination ran wild, conjuring images of a massive, hairy creature lurking just out of sight. He quickened his pace, his breath coming in short, ragged gasps. The growls grew louder, more insistent, and Jack knew he couldn't outrun whatever was out there. In a desperate bid for safety, he climbed a nearby tree, hoping to get a better view of his surroundings. From his perch, he could see the forest stretching out in all directions, an endless sea of darkness. The growls continued, but now they seemed to be moving away from him. Jack's heart rate began to slow as he realized he might have evaded the creature, at least for now. As he sat in the tree, catching his breath, Jack's thoughts turned to survival. He needed to find a way out of the forest and back to civilization. The footprint and the growls had confirmed that he was not alone, and he couldn't afford to let his guard down. He decided to wait until morning, hoping that the light of day would make it easier to navigate. The night was long and filled with strange noises. Jack dozed fitfully, his dreams haunted by images of Bigfoot. When dawn finally broke, he climbed down from the tree and resumed his search for a way out. The forest, now bathed in the soft light of morning, seemed less menacing, but the memory of the previous night's events lingered. Jack retraced his steps, keeping an eye out for any signs of the massive creature. He found more footprints, each one as large and mysterious as the first. They seemed to lead in a specific direction, and Jack decided to follow them, hoping they might lead him to safety. As he walked, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Hours passed, and the forest began to thin out. Jack's spirits lifted as he spotted a familiar landmark in the distance. It was the clearing he had originally planned to camp in. Relief washed over him as he realized he was close to finding his way back. He quickened his pace, eager to leave the forest and its mysteries behind. When he finally emerged from the trees, Jack felt a profound sense of gratitude. He had survived a night in the wilderness, encountered something extraordinary, and lived to tell the tale. As he made his way back to civilization, he couldn't help but wonder about the creature he had encountered. Was it really Bigfoot? Or was there some other explanation for the massive footprints and the eerie growls? Jack knew that he would never forget his night in the forest. It had been a journey of fear and discovery, one that had tested his limits and left him with more questions than answers. As he recounted his story to friends and fellow campers, he could see the skepticism in their eyes. But Jack knew what he had seen and heard, and that was enough for him. The legend of Bigfoot had always been a part of the forest's lore, and now Jack was a part of that story. Whether or not anyone believed him, he had experienced something extraordinary, and that was a memory he would carry with him for the rest of his life. The forest, with its secrets and mysteries, had given him an adventure he would never forget. The camper's heart raced as he realized the enormity of his discovery. He had ventured deep into the forest, far from the safety of his campsite, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a love for the wilderness. The night was eerily quiet, save for the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. The moonlight barely penetrated the dense canopy above, casting long, sinister shadows on the forest floor. As he moved cautiously through the underbrush, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of leaves sent a shiver down his spine. He had heard the legends of Bigfoot, the elusive creature said to roam these woods, but he had always dismissed them as mere folklore. Tonight, however, something felt different. There was an undeniable tension in the air, a sense of foreboding that he couldn't ignore. Suddenly he heard a low, guttural growl, unlike anything he had ever heard before. His heart pounded in his chest as he turned to see a massive, shadowy figure looming in the darkness. The creature's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and its breath was visible in the cold night air. Panic set in as he realized the enormity of his discovery. This was no ordinary animal, this was Bigfoot. He knew he had to escape, but the forest was dark, and every shadow seemed to move. The trees, once a source of comfort and familiarity, now felt like a labyrinth designed to trap him. He stumbled over roots and ducked under low-hanging branches, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The sound of heavy footsteps behind him spurred him on, each one louder and closer than the last. With every step, he felt the presence of Bigfoot drawing nearer. The creature's growls grew more menacing, echoing through the trees like a sinister symphony. He could almost feel its hot breath on the back of his neck, and the thought of those massive, clawed hands reaching out to grab him filled him with terror. He pushed himself to run faster, his legs burning with the effort. The forest seemed to close in around him, the darkness becoming almost tangible. He could barely see where he was going, relying on instinct and sheer desperation to guide him. His mind raced with thoughts of survival, of finding a way out of this nightmare. He remembered the stories of those who had encountered Bigfoot and lived to tell the tale, and he clung to the hope that he could be one of them. As he ran, he caught glimpses of the creature through the trees. It was massive, easily towering over him with thick, matted fur and eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. Its movements were surprisingly agile for something so large, and it seemed to navigate the forest with ease. He knew he couldn't outrun it forever. He needed a plan. In a moment of clarity, he remembered a small cave he had passed earlier in the day. It wasn't far, and if he could reach it, he might be able to hide and wait for the creature to pass. He changed direction, his feet pounding the forest floor as he made a beeline for the cave. The sound of the creature's pursuit was deafening, but he forced himself to focus on his goal. Finally, he saw the entrance to the cave, a dark opening in the side of a rocky hill. He dove inside, his body trembling with exhaustion and fear. The cave was small and cramped, but it offered a temporary refuge from the relentless chase. He pressed himself against the cold, damp walls, trying to control his breathing and remain as silent as possible. Outside, he could hear the creature searching for him, its growls and heavy footsteps echoing through the night. He held his breath, praying that it wouldn't find him. Minutes felt like hours as he waited in the darkness, every sound amplified by his heightened senses. He could hear the blood pounding in his ears, the rapid thud of his heart, and the distant calls of nocturnal animals. Eventually, the sounds of the creature began to fade, and he dared to hope that it had given up the chase. He remained in the cave for what felt like an eternity, too afraid to move. When he finally emerged, the first light of dawn was breaking through the trees, casting a soft, golden glow over the forest. His escape was nothing short of a miracle. He stumbled back to his campsite, his body aching and his mind reeling from the night's events. He knew that he had come face to face with something extraordinary, something that defied explanation. The encounter had changed him, leaving him with a newfound respect for the mysteries of the natural world. As he packed up his gear and prepared to leave the forest, he couldn't help but look back one last time. The trees stood tall and silent, their secrets hidden in the shadows. He knew that he would never forget his encounter with Bigfoot, and that the memory would stay with him for the rest of his life. The forest, once a place of adventure and wonder, had become a place of awe and reverence, a reminder of the unknown that still lurks in the world. This story, though thrilling, is meant to help you relax and unwind. Imagine the camper's relief as he finally found his way back to safety. The forest, once menacing, now seemed peaceful under the starlit sky. The danger had passed, and calmness returned. As you listen to this tale, let the sounds of the nighttime forest surround you. The gentle rustling of leaves, the distant call of an owl, all these sounds are here to soothe you. Let your mind drift and allow yourself to fall into a deep, restful sleep. Imagine yourself walking through a serene forest, the moonlight casting a soft glow on the path ahead. The air is cool and crisp, filled with the earthy scent of pine and moss. Each step you take is cushioned by the soft forest floor, a mix of fallen leaves and rich soil. The trees around you stand tall and majestic, their branches swaying gently in the night breeze. As you continue your walk, you notice the symphony of the forest at night. The leaves rustle softly, creating a soothing background melody. An owl hoots in the distance, its call echoing through the trees. The sound is both mysterious and comforting, a reminder that you are not alone in this tranquil place. Crickets chirp rhythmically, adding to the peaceful ambiance. You find a small clearing and decide to sit down on a fallen log. The log is covered in soft moss, making it a comfortable seat. You take a deep breath, inhaling the fresh, clean air. As you exhale, you feel a sense of calm wash over you. The worries and stresses of the day begin to fade away, replaced by a feeling of peace and contentment. In this moment, you are completely present. The past and the future do not exist. There is only the here and now. You close your eyes and listen to the sounds of the forest, the rustling leaves, the distant owl, the chirping crickets. All these sounds blend together to create a lullaby for your soul. As you sit there, you begin to feel a gentle drowsiness come over you. Your eyelids grow heavy and your body starts to relax. You lie down on the soft forest floor, using your arm as a pillow. The ground beneath you is cool and comforting, and you feel yourself sinking into it, becoming one with the earth. The night sky above is clear, filled with twinkling stars. You gaze up at them, feeling a sense of wonder and awe. Each star is like a tiny beacon of light, guiding you towards a peaceful slumber. The moon, full and bright, watches over you like a guardian, its gentle light wrapping you in a cocoon of serenity. As you lie there, you begin to drift off to sleep. Your breathing becomes slow and steady, matching the rhythm of the forest. The sounds around you fade into the background, becoming a distant hum. You feel a deep sense of relaxation, as if every muscle in your body is letting go of tension. In your dreams, you continue to explore the forest. You walk along winding paths, discovering hidden glades and sparkling streams. You encounter friendly woodland creatures who guide you on your journey. Each step you take brings you deeper into a world of tranquility and peace. The forest is a place of magic and wonder, a sanctuary where you can escape from the worries of the world. It is a place where you can find rest and rejuvenation, where you can reconnect with nature and with yourself. As you sleep, you feel a sense of gratitude for this beautiful, peaceful place. When you wake, you will carry the calm and serenity of the forest with you. The sounds of the nighttime forest will stay with you, a reminder that you can always find peace within yourself. No matter what challenges you face, you can return to this place in your mind and find the rest and relaxation you need. So, as you listen to this tale, let the sounds of the nighttime forest surround you. Let the gentle rustling of leaves, the distant call of an owl, and the chirping of crickets soothe you. Allow your mind to drift and let yourself fall into a deep, restful sleep. Good night.